Be me, watching this whole thing unfold from the coffee shop across the street. See this woman absolutely losing it in the window of her apartment. She's pacing back and forth, boxes everywhere, papers flying. That's Josephine, used to be the HR director at the tech company I worked at. Got laid off 6 months ago when the company restructured. Ironic really, considering how many people she laid off herself. Anyway, she's literally screaming at these papers, like full-on yelling at inanimate objects. Decide to text my buddy Alan, who lives in her building. Dude, what's going on with the crazy lady in 4B? Oh man, you don't even know, she's been like this for 3 days. She's going through old work files or something. Keeps crying and yelling about ruining people's lives. This I gotta see. Alan invites me up, says Josephine's door is actually open. She's been talking to anyone who'll listen. Walk up there, and sure enough, door's wide open. Josephine sitting on the floor, surrounded by what must be 50 manila folders. She looks like absolute hell. Hair unwashed, still in pajamas at 3 p.m, eyes red and swollen. They were all lies, she screams at no one in particular. Alan and I exchange glances. She notices us standing there. Do you know what I did? Do you know what I did? Lady, I don't even know you like that. I ruined them. I ruined all of them. She's holding up a file, shaking it. Thomas from accounting. Do you remember Thomas? Actually, yeah, I do remember Thomas. Quiet guy, kept to himself, always brought lunch from home. Got fired for creating a hostile work environment. Nobody believed it at the time. He asked Jennifer if she wanted to grab coffee, Josephine says, her voice breaking. That's it. That's all he did. He asked a co-worker to get coffee. She's reading from the file now. Jennifer reported feeling uncomfortable and unsafe. I wrote here that his behavior was predatory and demonstrated a pattern of inappropriate conduct. She looks up at us with these wild eyes. What pattern? There was no pattern. Starts laughing this horrible broken laugh. I made it up. I just decided there was a pattern because there had to be, right? Men like that, they're always predators. They just hide it well. That's what I told myself. That's what I told myself. Alan sits down on the couch. Why are you going through these now? Josephine wipes her face with her sleeve. Because I have nothing else. No job, no friends. My sister won't talk to me anymore. And I found these files when I was packing to move to a cheaper place. I don't know what I thought. Maybe I wanted to feel validated, like see, I was doing important work, protecting people. She picks up another folder. But then I started actually reading them, really reading them. Not just my notes, but the original complaints, the witness statements, the evidence, or the lack thereof. Oh shit. This is getting heavy. Do you know what I found? She asks, looking right at me. Or rather, what I didn't find. I shake my head. Evidence! She shouts. There's no evidence in any of these. She throws the folder across the room. David from engineering, fired for inappropriate comments. The comment was him saying, "You look nice today," to a woman wearing a new dress. She said it made her feel objectified. I put in my termination report that he had a history of sexualizing female colleagues. Where's the history? She's frantically flipping through pages. It doesn't exist. I just wrote that. Alan leans forward. Why would you write that if it wasn't true? Because I believed it had to be true. She's full on sobbing now. Because men are predators. Because women never lie. Because we have to believe all women. Because that's what I thought justice looked like. Because I thought I was making the workplace safer. She picks up another file. Ryan? Oh, God, Ryan. Yeah, I definitely remember Ryan. That one made news in our industry. Young guy, 28, super talented developer, got fired and blacklisted. He touched Amanda's shoulder, Josephine says quietly. During a fire drill, there was a genuine emergency situation, smoke in the building. He touched her shoulder to guide her toward the exit because she was panicking and frozen. She filed a complaint the next day for unwanted physical contact. Josephine's hands are shaking as she reads. I escalated this to a sexual harassment case. I wrote that his actions were inappropriate touching and showed lack of respect for bodily autonomy. I destroyed this kid's career over a fire drill. She hurls the file at the wall. Papers scatter everywhere. He was just trying to help her. He was trying to make sure she didn't die in a fire. And I made him into a monster. Picks up her phone, starts scrolling. I looked him up last week. You know what he's doing. Now? He drives for a rideshare service, master's degree in computer science, 5 years experience. And he drives drunk people home at 2 a.m. because nobody in tech will hire him. Because when they Google his name, they find articles about him being fired for sexual harassment. Articles that quoted me, my statements, my lies. Holy shit, this woman is actually having a complete breakdown. She stands up, starts pacing again. And the worst part, I was so proud of myself. Every single one of these terminations, I felt like I was doing something important. Like I was fighting the patriarchy, protecting vulnerable women, making a difference. She laughs bitterly. I gave a speech at a conference about creating safe workplaces. Used these cases as examples of my zero-tolerance policy. Got a standing ovation. People came up to me afterwards and thanked me for being brave. Brave. She picks up another file. Kevin, fired for creating a sexualized work environment. His crime? Having a photo of his wife in a bikini from their beach vacation on his desk. Someone complained it was objectifying. It was a picture of his wife, at the beach, with their kids cropped out of the photo I'm looking at now. She sits back down hard. I made him take it down. He did. Immediately. Apologized. But I still fired him 2 weeks later, because I decided the photo showed his underlying attitudes toward women. Alan asks, "Did anyone tell you these were wrong decisions?" Josephine nods. Everyone. The CEO questioned the Ryan termination. Said it seemed extreme given the circumstances. I told him he was part of the problem, that he was protecting predators. I threatened to quit and go public about the company's culture of protecting harassers. He backed down. They all backed down. She looks at us. Because that's what I did. Anytime someone questioned me, I made it about them. You're questioning this termination? You must be a misogynist. You think this is harsh? You must hate women. You want evidence? You must not believe victims. She's crying again. I weaponized everything. Every social movement, every bit of progress women have made. I turned it all into a cudgel to beat down anyone who disagreed with me. Picks up another file. Malcolm, black guy, software engineer. One of the only black engineers at the company. Fired for aggressive behavior. She reads from her notes. Made a female colleague feel threatened by raising his voice during a disagreement about code architecture. He raised his voice in a technical discussion about code, and I decided that was threatening. She puts her head in her hands. Do you know what I realized when I reread this file? I'm probably racist as heck too. How many times did I perceive black men as aggressive for the same behavior I excused in white women? How many times did I ignore their explanations because I'd already decided they fit a pattern? This is genuinely uncomfortable to watch. Alan tries to say something supportive. Look, you were trying to do the right thing. Maybe you just... No, she cuts him off. Stop. Don't do that. Don't make excuses for me. That's what everyone did. That's why I got away with this. Oh, Josephine's just really passionate about women's issues. She's a strong advocate. Sometimes she goes too far, but her heart's in the right place. My heart. She stands up again, grabbing files. My heart doesn't matter when I destroyed these people's lives. When I didn't care about evidence or due process or basic fairness. When I decided that my feelings about justice were more important than actual justice. She's reading through another file now. Patrick. Oh, Jesus, Patrick. Wait, I know this one. This was the one that got really messy. Patrick was accused by Elena of stalking her. The evidence was that he parked near her car in the parking's garage. And he left work at the same time as her 3 times in 1 week. Josephine is reading the file with fresh horror on her face. He parked near her car because it was literally his assigned parking space. They were assigned next to each other. He left at the same time because they had the same work schedule. And when he explained this, I put in my notes that his excuses showed lack of accountability. She looks like she might throw up. I interviewed Elena. She said she just had a feeling about him. That he seemed creepy even though he'd never spoken to her. And I decided that was enough. A feeling was enough to destroy this man's career. She's frantically flipping pages. I'm reading the follow-up notes now, after we fired him. Elena admitted to another colleague that she might have overreacted. that she was going through some stuff and feeling paranoid. This is documented right here. She waves the paper at us. And you know what I did with this information? Nothing. I did nothing. Because he was already fired, and admitting I was wrong would mean admitting the system was flawed, would mean admitting I was flawed. Alan stands up. Have you thought about reaching out to any of these people? Apologizing? Josephine laughs. Oh, I've thought about it. I've spent 3 days thinking about nothing else. I even drafted emails. She shows us her phone. Dear Thomas, I'm sorry I destroyed your career over a coffee invitation. Dear Ryan, my bad about making you unemployable for helping during an emergency. Dear Patrick, whoops, turns out assigned parking isn't stalking. She throws her phone on the couch. What would that even accomplish? Other than making me feel better? Sorry I ruined your life. Hope this email helps. She sits back down among the files. I looked them all up. Every single one. Thomas moved back in with his parents. Took a job at his dad's auto shop. David's wife left. Him. The stress of unemployment. The shame. It destroyed his marriage. Malcolm left the tech industry entirely. Went back to school to be a teacher. She picks up Ryan's file again. Ryan tried to fight it. Hired a lawyer, tried to challenge the termination. I testified against him under oath. Said I had credible evidence of a pattern of harassment. I lied. Under oath, in legal proceedings. She's hyperventilating now. He lost everything fighting that case, went into debt. His lawyer told him to take a settlement and sign an NDA. He had no choice. Alan and I are just standing there. Neither of us knows what to say to this. You know what's funny? Josephine asks, but she's not laughing. I used to get so angry at men who wouldn't listen, who would dismiss women's experiences, who would demand evidence and proof. I thought that was the problem. I thought demanding evidence was just another way to silence victims. She looks at the files spread around her. But I didn't want evidence either. I just wanted confirmation of what I already believed. If the evidence supported my worldview, it was valid. If it didn't, it was part of the cover-up, part of the system protecting abusers. She picks up another file. Andrew, fired for retaliation against a woman who reported him. She reported him for making a joke about his own wife. He said, marriage is hard, after someone asked how his weekend was. That was the joke. That was the entire joke. She reported it as demeaning to women. Josephine reads her own notes. I wrote, this comment reflects deeper misogynistic attitudes. When she reported him, he tried to defend himself. Sent an email explaining the context, asking for a meeting. And I decided that was retaliation, that he was intimidating the complainant. So I fired him for the original comment and for trying to defend himself. She closes the file. Do you see the trap I created? Do you see it? Defend yourself? That's retaliation. You're fired. Don't defend yourself. That's admission of guilt. You're fired. There was no way out. I made sure of it. She stands up and walks to the window. I thought I was making the world better. I thought I was protecting women, creating safe spaces, holding men accountable. But all I did was create an environment where accusations were enough, where explanations were excuses, where context didn't matter, where I got to play judge, jury, and executioner based on nothing but my own biases. She turns back to us. And you know what the worst part is? The worst part? In all these files, in all these terminations, she's crying hard now. There were actual problems I ignored. Daniel in sales was sleeping with his assistant. Everyone knew she was clearly uncomfortable, but she wouldn't file a formal complaint because she was afraid. I told her there was nothing I could do without a formal complaint. That's what I told her. Nothing I can do without a formal complaint. She laughs bitterly. But with these other cases, I didn't need formal complaints. I didn't need evidence. I didn't need anything. Just someone's feelings or my own interpretation. She picks up more files. Alan in legal was making inappropriate comments about women's bodies. Multiple people mentioned it casually, but nobody filed official complaints. I decided it wasn't actionable without formal documentation. But I fired Patrick over assigned parking based on someone's feeling. She sits back down hard. I was selective. I was so selective about when I cared about evidence and process. When it fit my narrative, I didn't need evidence. When it didn't, suddenly I was all about proper procedure and documentation. Alan asks quietly, "What changed? Why are you seeing this now?" Josephine is quiet for a moment. "I got fired," she laughs. "Well, laid off, technically. Company restructuring." But it was really because I'd become a liability. Too many threats of lawsuits? Too much negative attention? They gave me a severance package and an NDA and sent me on my way. She looks at us. For the first time in 10 years, I had nothing to do. No complaints to investigate, no policies to enforce, no power. Just nothing. She wipes her eyes. I started actually listening to people I'd written off before. Reading articles I would have dismissed as anti-feminist. Talking to my sister, who I'd cut off for being internalized misogyny. She picks up a file. She told me about her husband, my brother-in-law, James. How he was falsely accused of harassment at his job 5 years ago. How it nearly destroyed him, even though the accusation was eventually withdrawn. I'd never asked about it. I just assumed he was guilty, and she was in denial. She's sobbing again. My own family, and I just assumed... She takes a shaky breath. So I came home and I found these files and I thought... I don't know what I thought. Maybe I wanted to prove to myself that I'd been right. That these were bad men who deserved what happened. She looks around at the scattered papers. But they weren't. They weren't bad men. They were just men. Human beings. Flawed and imperfect, but not monsters. And I destroyed them anyway. She picks up Thomas's file again. He asked someone to coffee. That's a fireable offense now. That's harassment. Picks up Ryan's file. He helped someone during an emergency. That's sexual assault now. That's predatory behavior. She's shouting again. What was I thinking? How did I become this? How did I become someone who sees evil in everything? Who assumes the worst? Who demands confession? Who punishes without evidence? Alan tries to comfort her. You were trying to protect people. Your intentions. Stop talking about my intentions. She stands up. My intentions don't matter. Results matter. And the result is that I destroyed innocent people's lives. I made them unemployable. I ruined their reputations. I took away their ability to support their families. She's pacing again. And for what? What did I accomplish? Did I make women safer? Did I create a better workplace? Or did I just create an environment of fear where people are afraid to interact? Where men won't mentor women, won't have meetings alone with them, won't even talk to them? She laughs bitterly. I've talked to some of my old colleagues, the ones who'll still speak to me. You know what's happening now at companies with zero-tolerance policies like mine? Men are terrified. They won't ride elevators alone with women, won't have closed-door meetings. They're hiring fewer women because they're afraid of accusations. She sits back down. I did that. I contributed to that. I made it worse for women by making men afraid of us. By making accusations so powerful that there's no defense, no due process. She picks up another file. Stephen, fired for forwarding a joke email. The joke was a meme about bad office coffee. Someone decided it was workplace inappropriate. I fired him because it showed poor judgment. She reads her notes. Employees who lack judgment in small matters will lack it in larger ones. What does that even mean? It's meaningless corporate speak to justify a decision I'd already made. She looks at us. I'd already decided he needed to go. He was older, made more money, complained sometimes. So when this complaint came in, I saw my opportunity. The joke was just an excuse. She's crying again. How many of these were just excuses? How many times did I use protecting women as cover for other motives? Getting rid of people I didn't like, people who challenged me, people who cost too much. She stands up and starts gathering files. I need to do something. I can't just sit here with this. I have to. I don't know. Try to make this right. Somehow. Alan asks, what are you going to do? Josephine looks at him. I'm going to write to every one of them. Not to make myself feel better. Not to ask for forgiveness. But to tell them the truth. That I was wrong. That they didn't deserve this. That if they want to pursue legal action, I'll cooperate fully. She picks up her laptop. I'm going to document everything. Every false statement I made. Every lie I told. Every time I ignored evidence. Every time I embellished accusations. Everything. She looks at us with this desperate expression. It won't fix what I did. It won't give them their careers back. But at least it's the truth. At least it's honest. She starts typing. And then I'm going to send it to journalists, lawyers, anyone who'll listen. Because if I did this, others are doing it too. And it has to stop. Alan and I exchange glances. This woman has completely fallen apart, but maybe that's what needed to happen. People need to... No, she says, still typing. They need to know that believe all women became believe all accusations without question. That zero tolerance became zero evidence required. That in trying to fix one injustice, we created another. She stops typing and looks at us. I became what I thought I was fighting. I became someone who didn't care about truth or fairness or justice. Just about power and ideology and being right. She goes back to typing. Thomas deserves to know he didn't do anything wrong. Ryan deserves to clear his name. All of them deserve the truth. She's crying as she types. Even if they hate me, even if they sue me, even if I lose everything. It's what I deserve. It's what I should have done years ago. Alan and I quietly leave. She doesn't even notice us go, too focused on her laptop, on the files, on her confession. As we're walking out, I hear her scream, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." It echoes through the hallway. A few neighbors poke their heads out. Alan just shakes his head. She's been like this for days, just crying and screaming and going through those files. Think she'll actually send those emails? I don't know, man. Maybe. She seems pretty broken up about it. We go back to his apartment. Couple hours later, my phone buzzes. Email from an address I don't recognize. Subject line, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. You deserved better." It's from Josephine. She sent it to everyone who'd ever worked at the company. Must be hundreds of people. The email is long, really long. Details everything she did, everyone she fired, all the evidence she ignored, all the lies she told. Ends with, "I cannot undo what I have done. I cannot give these men back their careers, their reputations, or the years they lost. But I can tell the truth. I can admit that I was wrong, that I let ideology override evidence, that I destroyed lives in pursuit of what I thought was justice. I was not a protector. I was not a hero. I was someone who abused power and hurt innocent people. And I am sorry. If you were harmed by my actions, please know that it was not your fault. You did not deserve this. I failed you. The system failed you, and I take full responsibility for my part in that failure." Holy shit, she actually did it. My phone starts blowing up. Other people forwarding the email, commenting on it. Some people are angry, calling her manipulative. Others think it's brave. Most are just shocked. I look out my window toward her building. Can still see her in the window, surrounded by files, laptop open, still typing, still crying, still trying to fix what can't be fixed. Alan texts me. She's writing individual emails now, personal ones to each person she fired. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Later that night, around 2 a.m., I see her apartment light still on. She's still at it, still going through files, still writing, still destroying herself with guilt. My phone buzzes again. Email from Thomas, one of the guys she fired. He's responding to her public email. I don't know if this makes it better or worse. I lost my career, my confidence, years of my life, because someone asked me to believe that I was a predator for inviting a colleague to coffee. And I started to believe it myself. Started to think maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was creepy and didn't know it. It destroyed me. Your apology doesn't fix that, but at least now I know. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't a monster. Thank you for that, I guess. Even if it's too late. Heck, Josephine emails back within minutes. It is too late, you're right. And I'm sorry. Not the hollow sorry of someone seeking forgiveness, but the sorry of someone who knows they don't deserve it. You weren't crazy. You weren't a monster. You were a casualty of my certainty, my refusal to question my own righteousness. I hope knowing the truth brings you some peace, even if it can't bring back what you lost. This goes on all night. She's responding to every email, every message. No excuses, no justifications, just acknowledgement and apology. By morning, the story's picked up online. Former HR director admits to wrongful terminations. Woman confesses to destroying careers over false accusations. The comments are vicious. Some supporting her honesty, most condemning her, calling for her to be prosecuted, sued, destroyed the way she destroyed others. Around 9 a.m., I see her leave her apartment. She looks like death. Hasn't slept, still in the same clothes, carrying a box of files. Alan texts, she's going to a lawyer, wants to see if those guys can sue the company and her personally. She's going to help them build their cases. Is she insane? Maybe, or maybe she's finally sane for the first time in years. A few weeks later, I run into her at a coffee shop. She's lost weight, looks exhausted, but also calmer somehow. Hey, I say. Hey. Awkward silence. I heard about the lawsuits, I say. Yeah, 3 so far. Probably more coming. You okay? She laughs. No, not even a little bit, but I deserve this. Everything that's coming, I deserve it. She picks up her coffee. For years, I thought I was making the world better, protecting people. Turns out, I was just hurting different people and calling it justice. She looks at me. You know what's funny? I used to get so angry at people who said we'd gone too far. Who said we needed to slow down, be more careful, think about due process. I thought they were the enemy, protecting the patriarchy. She shakes her head. They were right. We did go too far. I went too far. And good people paid the price for my righteousness. She stands up to leave. Anyway, I'm sure you've got places to be. Josephine, I say. She turns. What you're doing now, admitting it, trying to make it right, that takes guts. She smiles sadly. No, it doesn't. It's the bare minimum. It's what I should have done years ago. Before I destroyed all those lives. She walks out. I sit there thinking about the whole situation. About how someone can be so certain they're doing good, while actually doing so much harm. About how ideology can blind you to reality. About how easy it is to become the villain while thinking you're the hero. My phone buzzes. Another email from Josephine. This one's public again, sent to news outlets and legal organizations. I am writing to formally retract all testimony I gave in employment termination cases between 2015 and 2023. My statements were influenced by bias rather than evidence. I embellished accusations, ignored exculpatory evidence, and mischaracterized innocent behavior as harassment. Any legal proceedings based on my testimony should be reopened and reviewed. I am available to provide sworn statements correcting my previous falsehoods. The men I accused deserve justice. Real justice. Not the performative version I provided. She's actually doing it, completely destroying any credibility she has left. Burning every bridge, nuking her entire professional reputation, all to try to fix what she broke. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't give those guys their lives back. But it's something. A few months later, I hear she's working at a warehouse. Entry-level, minimum wage. Her professional career is over. No one in HR will touch her. She's been named in 6 lawsuits so far. Probably going to lose everything. But apparently she shows up every day. Does her work? Doesn't complain. Someone asked her how she ended up there. She said, I spent years destroying people's ability to work in their field. Now I know what that feels like. Seems fair. Last I heard, she sold her apartment to help settle one of the lawsuits, moved into a studio in a bad part of town, still working at the warehouse, still writing apology letters, still trying to help the guys she destroyed build their legal cases, still completely shattered by what she did. Thomas got a settlement and a retraction from the company, was able to get a job in his field again. Ryan's case is still pending, but looking better. Malcolm's working on a lawsuit with several other former employees. Patrick got a written apology from the company and expungement of his record. Not everything's fixed. Some damage can't be undone, but at least the truth is out there now. At least people know what happened. Josephine's the cautionary tale now, the example of what happens when you prioritize ideology over truth. When you stop asking what's right and start asking who's right. When you become so certain of your righteousness that you stop checking if you're actually right. She destroyed herself trying to make it right. Probably still won't be enough. Probably can't ever be enough. But she's trying, and maybe that's all she can do now. Live with what she did and try to be better going forward, even if it's too late. Even if she can never fix what she broke.